Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 1 to 8.
1. What colour is Mary's coat?
Hi, Mary. What have you bought?
This coat. Do you like it?
Yes. Yellow looks good on you.
Do you think I can use my blue bag with it?
Your brown one will look better.
2. What did the woman repair?
Hi. What have you done today?
You know that broken shelf above my desk? Well, I repaired it and then I went shopping.
What did you buy?
A new chair.
3. What are they going to buy for Pam?
Last year we gave Pam a book for her birthday. Should we buy her another one this year?
I think we should give her a plant or some chocolates.
But she doesn't like sweet things.
Let's get her something to put in her garden, but not a book again.
4. Where will the friends meet?
Hi, it's Kimberly. I got your message and I'd love to go to the movies. There's a film called Spy Game or a comedy. I don't mind which. Shall we meet outside the cinema?
Or I know, at the burger bar on the corner. We could have a snack before we go in, or we could meet at the bus station.
Mum's driving me into town this afternoon to buy some trainers, so I won't be near the station. But something to eat first is a good idea. Shall we say 6 o'clock?
OK.
5. Which sport will the boy do soon at the centre?
Have you been to the new water sports centre yet?
Oh, yes. It's brilliant. There are 2 indoor pools, one for underwater diving and one for swimming. And you can also have sailing lessons on the lake.
That's what I'm doing there next weekend, actually. I was hoping to take water skiing lessons, but the leaflet says they're not starting those until next year.
6. What can't the woman find?
I'm going to mend and paint the cupboard in your bedroom today.
Great, Mum. Anything I can do to help?
Yes. Can you go to the shop and get me a new hammer? This one's broken. But before you do that, ask your dad what he's done with the paintbrush. I've looked everywhere for it. There weren't any in the garage. All I could find was this knife, which I lost months ago.
7. What is the weather forecast for tomorrow?
And now for those of you planning to go to the rock festival tomorrow, you'll want to know what the weather's going to be like. As we go through today, the heavy rain will gradually disappear by the end of the afternoon. Tomorrow, we can expect some sunshine with just a few light showers, and then some very hot and dry weather is likely by the weekend.
8. What did the boy buy?
I got most of the shopping you asked for, Mum. I got the last of the bread and some orange juice, but sorry, there weren't any newspapers left.
Oh, never mind. I need to remember to go in the morning. But what about the tomatoes for the salad?
Ah, I forgot. I'll go back for them.
Oh, don't worry. I'll stop and pick some up when I go out to collect your sister.
Now you will have some time to review questions 1 to 8. Part 2. In this part, you will hear 3 conversations. The conversations will be played once only. There are 4 questions for each conversation. For each question, choose the right answer, A, B, C, or D. Part 2, Questions 9 to 12. First, you will have some time to look at questions 9 to 12. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 9 to 12. You will hear the recording once only.
Hi, Natasha. See, you're going out for a run. You're lucky you don't have to go to work today.
Hello, Colin. I am going to the office, but I've started running to work instead of taking the bus. It means I can keep fit and save some money.
Oh, I tried running to work for a while, but I didn't like breathing in all the traffic pollution and I kept getting coughs. I soon went back to using public transport. I keep fit at the gym.
Well, I found a route that avoids most of the main roads.
But it's still almost 5 kilometres and it must be dangerous.
That's why I choose quiet streets. If I could, I'd run in the country. That would be lovely. But it would mean leaving it till the weekends. Running gives me a wonderful feeling of freedom. It's just what I need before sitting down in the office every day.
But surely you don't wear your tracksuit and trainers at work.
Oh, I keep a suit at the office and change when I arrive. I think it's important to look professional, so I don't mind at all.
Anyway, since you're so fit, are you going to join in the big race next month?
I'd like to. What's the distance?
20 kilometres. Anyone can enter, and there are prizes for different age groups.
Even if I come last, it will still be good fun. Running on your own can sometimes get quite lonely. Are you going to take part?
Oh, yes. I've sent in my application form already. I'll get one for you. But I'm not going to train by running to work. I'll run round the park a few times when I get home in the evenings. That's safer.
OK. Anyway, I must go now or I'll be late. Bye!
Bạn đang thi tại website luyện thi vstep.vn.
Now you will have some time to review questions 9 to 12. Part 2, Questions 13 to 16. First, you will have some time to look at questions 13 to 16. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 13 to 16. You will hear the recording once only.
Harry Park, you run a travel company which organises adventure holidays in some difficult places. Now, how did you first become interested in adventure travel?
Well, my father worked in an insurance company once he had a family, but before that he'd spent several years travelling the world, and he never stopped telling us about it. His stories were much more exciting than the books I read, and they made me want to travel and have adventures of my own.
And what made you decide to start an adventure travel company?
Well, when I was in my 20s, I travelled a lot in different countries. I went exploring and climbing in mountains and deserts. I wanted to show other people how wonderful these things were. The business has been very successful, but when I started it, I didn't know if I'd make any money.
Your company's called Far and Wide. How did you choose the name?
Well, I just called it Park Travel at first, but everyone thought that was terribly boring. My wife kept suggesting different things, but in the end it was a customer who gave me the idea. Far and Wide is also the title of a book that a friend wrote, so it reminds me of him too.
Oh, great. The places you visit are usually very unspoiled, Harry. Some people think it's not a good idea to take tourists there. What would you say to them?
Well, most of the places we visit have no inhabitants, so we aren't going to spoil people's way of life or bring in things like television and fridges. And I make sure that we always take care of the environment. We are careful not to cause pollution, so we take all our rubbish away.
Some of the things you do are also dangerous. Do you enjoy danger?
Well, it's not a question of enjoying it. It's just that you can't do what I do without thinking about the possible dangers. I'm never frightened, though. If I'm taking a group up a mountain or something like that, I just concentrate on what I have to do and get on with it.
You've been to some fascinating places, Harry.
Bạn đang thi tại website luyện thi vstep.vn.
Now you will have some time to review questions 13 to 16. Part 2, questions 17 to 20. First, you will have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 17 to 20. You will hear the recording once only.
Now then, Mr. Vstep, how can I help you?
Well, I'm thinking about transferring, but I'm not sure. I was hoping you could help me make a decision.
I'll try. Where are you thinking of transferring to, and why do you want to leave Cryptus U?
I'm thinking of going to Central University because it's in my hometown. I've been kind of homesick this year, and I haven't made many friends. I just feel so lonely. So I thought that maybe it'd be better to be closer to my parents and friends and all.
I see. And would you keep the same major if you transferred? What is it, business administration?
Yeah, I would. The credits I've earned here will transfer to Central. I've already checked.
May I ask why you chose to come to Cryptus University in the first place?
Sure. Well, the main reason is you have a great business school, and the second reason is that I wanted to get away from home.
You're right, Mr. Vstep. We do have an excellent business school, but so does Central. The thing is, you've got almost a year under your belt here now. At Central, you'll be starting from scratch.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm a little bit familiar with Central because I had older friends who went there, and I visited it before I came here.
You know, freshman year is usually the hardest. I remember how homesick I was my first year. I'll tell you, I was ready to pack it in after the first 2 weeks. But the longer I stayed, the more comfortable I felt. By senior year, I was glad I chose to stay.
Really? Did it get a lot better your sophomore year?
Yes, it did. You might well find the same is true for you. Also, even though your credits here will transfer, you will have to take extra courses because Central has different requirements. You'll probably have to go to school for an extra year.
I hadn't thought about that. I'll have to check into it. Maybe I should give it one more year. I mean, it's probably good for me to learn to live away from my family and friends, right?
Now you will have some time to review questions 17 to 20. That is the end of Part 2. Part 3. In this part, you will hear 3 talks or lectures. The talks or lectures will be played once only. There are 5 questions for each talk or lecture. For each question, choose the right answer, A, B, C, or D. Part 3. Questions 21 to 25. First, you will have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 21 to 25. You will hear the recording once only.
Angry Birds 2 is out, and more than 10 million people are furiously throwing feathered flyers at snorting pigs. But while it's free to download, some players are complaining about how the game encourages in-app purchases. One review praised the gorgeous game, but calls the way it prompts users to pay for upgraded content heartless and tiring. The makers, Rovio, says those who don't buy add-ons still get a fully formed game for free. The game allows you to gain extra lives in exchange for gems. There are several ways to gather these gems in the game, but buying them is the easiest. Eric Kyan, one reviewer, says that if you don't want to part with your money, you're forced to wait for your lives to reload. He thinks this feature will just encourage gamers to stop playing. Greedy isn't the word, but there are words to describe this sort of thing. Foolish, baffling, boneheaded. The first Angry Birds game was released in 2009, and it was a massive hit, even though players had to pay to download it. There have been other spin-offs in the series, but Angry Birds 2 has been billed as a proper follow-up. John Norris says that he played the original endlessly, and he was looking forward to the development. He thinks most people who play mobile games these days are pretty aware of how in-app purchases work. But after such an uncomplicated original game, he was really disappointed by how hard the sequel tries to make you spend your money. After these complaints were revealed, the creative director of the game, Patrick Liu, stated that they encouraged users to play, not to pay. Everybody had an equal opportunity to progress in the game, as all transactions were made with gems, for which the game allows you to gain extra lives in exchange. These gems could be earned by playing and completing challenges. Furthermore, extra birds, lives, and tickets could be earned through watching videos. This fact was accessible to everyone. Angry Birds 2 could be enjoyed fully without purchasing anything, but they did offer, for purchase, a variety of ways to expand, extend, and enhance the game-playing experience. But John still thinks the Finnish company has ruined Angry Birds 2. He appreciates game developers need to make money, but the way to do that is to charge money for games people want to play, not annoy people into spending money in-game.
Now you will have some time to review questions 21 to 25. Part 3. Questions 26 to 30. First, you will have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 26 to 30. You will hear the recording once only.
The world's first malaria vaccine has cleared one of the final hurdles prior to being approved for use in Africa. It is noticeable that malaria kills around 584,000 people a year worldwide, most of them children under 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. The European Medicines Agency gave a positive scientific opinion after assessing its safety and effectiveness. It represents a green light for the Mosquirix injection developed by GlaxoSmithKline, GSK for short. Mosquirix is the first against a parasitic infection in humans. Scientists who have been working on this vaccine for 30 years said that this was a hugely significant moment, and this was a dream come true. It has been designed specifically to combat malaria infection in children in Africa and will not be licensed for travellers. Earlier this year, final results of a clinical trial in 7 African countries yielded mixed results. The best protection was among children aged 5 to 17 months, who received 3 doses of the vaccine a month apart, plus a booster dose at 20 months. In this group, cases of severe malaria were cut by a third over 4 years. But the effectiveness of the vaccine declined over time, making the booster shot essential. Without a booster, the vaccine did not cut the rate of severe malaria over the trial period. And disappointingly, the injection did not prove very effective in protecting young babies from severe malaria. Furthermore, it has been hoped the injection could be administered at 6, 10, and 14 weeks, along with other childhood vaccines. But the results suggests the injections need to be started later, which would involve a huge amount of organization and extra cost, as it is outside the childhood vaccine schedule. Besides, the trial results show it is crucial that children receive all 4 doses of the injection in order to benefit. But even in partially effective malaria vaccine could have a role to play in countries with very high rates of disease. GSK began research on a malaria vaccine 30 years ago, and the first trials in Africa began in 1998. In 2001, a partnership was established between GSK and the PATH, P-A-T-H, Malaria Vaccine Initiative through a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The project aimed to speed up malaria vaccine development. In 2009, 11 centres began recruiting 16,000 children in 7 sub-Saharan African countries. Today marks a significant scientific milestone for the long-standing partnership to develop a vaccine. Yet several more steps remain before a malaria vaccine might reach the young children in Africa who most need protection against this deadly human parasite.
Now you will have some time to review questions 26 to 30. Part 3. Questions 31 to 35. First, you will have some time to look at questions 31 to 35. Now we're ready to start. Listen and answer questions 31 to 35. You will hear the recording once only.
Scientists may be one step closer to uncovering the origins of cheese making, as evidence that is thousands of years old has been uncovered. Truly an ancient art, no one really knows exactly when humans began making cheese. But now, milk extracts have been identified on 34 perforated pottery vessels, or cheese strainers, that are 7,500 years old, and have been excavated in Poland. Miss Salk and other scientists believe that this is obvious evidence of cheese making in Northern Europe during Neolithic times, and their findings have been published in the scientific journal Nature. Miss Salk and her team also analyzed lipid remains on the vessels and detected milk remains, which they say provides a link to cheese making. Although scientists have not identified traces of cheese, they have put together a convincing case. Is it possible that prehistoric people were making cheese much earlier than 7,500 years ago? Miss Salk explains that the most important ingredient for cheese making is milk, and only domesticated animals can be milked. Thus, it is unlikely that the origins of cheese making predates the Neolithic time period. Earlier examples of milk remains have been detected on pottery vessels from the Near East, dating back 8,000 years, although the evidence does not suggest that they were used for milk processing activities. The only other written evidence for cheese-making activity occurred much later in the archaeological record, around 5,000 years ago. What would have prompted Neolithic people to start making cheese? Scientists revealed that genetic and computer simulations have shown that at that time, people were largely lactose intolerant. Processing milk into cheese allows the lactose content of milk to be reduced. Thus, making cheese allowed them to consume dairy products without the undesirable health effects. So, what might a prehistoric cheese have tasted like? I guess it would have been like the traditional cheese you can get now. Miss Salk said that in France, we have the picoron, traditionally made in farms with cow or goat milk. I would imagine that prehistoric cheese would have been like this. It's likely to have been a softer cheese. Andrew Dalby says that the taste of the cheese may have changed according to the season, similar to those cheeses made in the region of France where I live. The result can be quite different depending on the season. Sometimes cheeses harden and do in fact keep and still taste great months later.
Now you will have some time to review questions 31 to 35.